I am standing here performing an inspection per the CompSop in a commercial bakery. Section 6.5.13 of the CompSop is cooking area. And there are certain things, if you're following the CompSop, doing an inspection on a commercial kitchen, that you need to be mindful of. I said commercial kitchen because performing a property inspection on a normal kitchen, let's say in a multifamily or the break room at a business, that inspection will be performed largely like you perform those in a residence or just a basic kitchen if you've never done a residential inspection. But on a commercial inspection, they're just a little bit different. Doing a property inspection in this facility, we have to look for the hoods. Very specifically, there are two different types of hoods that we're going to look at. And in this building, we were lucky enough to find both of them. One hood is called a Type 1, and the other hood is called a Type 2. A Type 1 hood would be a hood like this one. It is designed to evacuate grease, heat, and condensating air. And so this is wonderful over top of cooking areas which we have high heat and grease-laden materials like fryers and stoves and ovens. And so that's what we'll find over the top of this. Over the top of a conventional heating space, only condensation, not grease or anything else, we'll have a Type 2 hood. That type of hood has an exhaust on it, but does not have to have the same filtering system. This is a Type 2 hood. Now with a Type 1 hood, it's very important for us to follow a little bit of the CompSop and know what we are looking at. And so when we look at these, first and foremost, they should have lighting. The lighting needs to be blast lighting or vapor-proof lighting. And that's what we have up here. And what that does is that prevents the grease or any other flammables from getting up there and having an ignition source. Secondly, we need to make sure that all of our grease filters are in place. Not just some, but all. So if I've got a 6 foot wide hood, I need to have 6 foot of filters, not 4.5 foot. And if the filters are in place, they need to be set up in a way that the grease migrates down the filter into the trough and eventually into either a grease catch or some other trough that can be cleaned. In this particular case, I have got an excellent grease catch right here that is sloped and going to catch the grease that might be up there. Next, we want to make sure that there is an inspection tag. Let's take a look at the other side of this unit for the inspection tag. Again, looking at the hood system, it's very important to make sure it's steel or stainless steel. We obviously shouldn't have a wood or plastic hood system, but you'd be surprised what you're going to find. There's a lot of creative engineering out there, so it's very important to identify that this is a steel hood or stainless steel hood. We need to look for our inspection tag. That's always clearly marked somewhere on the hood. In this particular case here, it's right here, and this tag was 8/22. So it was just done. It's going to be good till next year. It really depends on how often the system's used. I have seen commercial kitchens have to be cleaned monthly. I've seen them quarterly, I've seen them biannually, and I've seen them annually. But we want to really always make sure that you document the condition of the system for your client while they're here. So I always take a picture of the label here, and I always take a picture of the system. A little later, we're going to go up on the roof. One of the interesting things with these systems, this exhaust goes up, it goes through these filters. These filters come out. They can be actually put in the sink and steam cleaned or hot water cleaned pretty simply. And so we can remove those filters, every day, every shift. A fast food restaurant, these things might need to be taken out twice a day and steam cleaned, where there might be other places it might be just every night during closing. When these fire up, and I'm going to fire up that switch, so indulge me for a minute, it's going to get loud. Here comes the exhaust. You can hear how loud that is. It's a tremendous amount of suck going up and out of the system. But what happened when I turned that exhaust on, a second system came on. That's called our makeup air. Our challenge would be if I only ran this exhaust. Now I'm going to shut it off for a minute so you can hear me. If we only ran this exhaust by itself, we would create such a negative pressure in this facility. We'd extinguish pilot lights. We might take out Uncle Charlie's toupee off the top of his head. It'll suck right up because everything is being drawn up this exhaust. And the other thing we won't be able to do, we won't be able to keep this building comfortable. We'll be drawing out all of the heat and all of the cool that we spent so much money putting into the building, it'd be going straight up. So what we do to fix that is we create makeup air. Up on the roof, we're going to find a makeup air system. And that air system is designed to push air into the space in an equal amount of volume as we're sucking air. So basically, we create our own little air column. And so that's what this screen here in front of this beautiful hood system is. It's our makeup air. And so if I'm standing here working at the kitchen, then I have fresh air going past me and going up, and I should stay reasonably comfortable. There's two different types of makeup systems that we might find. One is a reheat system where there's a small heater on it, and the other is without. So, but it's very important that we do note if there's makeup air. So I can't wait to go up on the roof and check that out when we get up there. But in the meantime, to finish off our hood inspection, again, we're gonna watch our filters, make sure the slots are gonna drain, which we have. We wanna make sure that we have good lighting. And then lastly, we wanna look at the fire extinguisher system. We're not testing it, we're not operating it, we're not firing it up. This is a suppression system. There's two different types of systems. There's extinguishers and suppression. And so a fire sprinkler is an extinguisher. We talked about the fire sprinkler in life safety. In the cooking area, we want to talk about suppression. And so we will have a sprinkler system located in areas where there might be a fire, but in the areas under the hood, that's grease. And so those will have an ANSEL system, which is a suppression system. Depending on what they'll have, it'll either leave a residue or a non-residue system. It's basically either throwing out carbon dioxide onto the system or it's throwing out some form of other material to smother the fire. And so we'll have that ANSEL system here. It's also important if we have an ANSEL system that there is within 20 feet of the cooking area a hand pull station. Let's go try to locate that. I'm still in the kitchen and I can see all of the appliances. I am within 20 feet of it, and here we have, in case of fire, pull, and this is the ANSEL system. This is not part of the fire control for the building. This is strictly gonna put out the grease fires. So if I have a major system going on over there and the automatic doesn't come on, the chef, the cook, whoever's over there can go, pull it, and then come over here and pull this off. And away we go. Again, same thing we would do with fire extinguishers. We want to look at the date and make sure it's in compliance. This sticker would be here as well as on the main control system. Speaking of fire extinguishers, part of the life safety, we talked about fire extinguishers in type K. In a kitchen, this is a commercial kitchen, we are required to have a fire extinguisher. Let's see if we can find that. So we've moved around the kitchen and I found the fire extinguisher, type K. It has to be within 30 foot of any cooking device. And so this is actually about 9 foot, 8 foot maybe. And so it's well within. So again, we want to make sure when we're doing our cooking area inspection, we've reviewed the hoods, make sure they're stainless steel or steel, type 1, type 2, make sure that they operate, make sure the lights, look for the fire extinguishing system, make sure there's a manual actuator, and then find the fire extinguisher and make sure it's in date and within 30 foot of the kitchen cooking area. With that, anything else we do in this kitchen will be beyond the scope of the CommSop, but I think it's important for us to take a look at. So let's begin there. In performing an inspection to the CommSop, 6.5.13, we talk about the cooking area. Everything we're gonna do per the CommSop we've talked about. Let's talk about a few of the things that go beyond the CommSop that are unique to commercial kitchen areas, and it's probably something that you need to understand if you're going to do a proper property inspection. First and foremost, most commercial kitchens all have to have some form of dish containment and cleaning. And so in this particular case, we've got the absolute typical triple basin sink. Each of these basins are meant for different things. In this particular case, we're going right to left. I have got a rinse side, a wash side, and a sanitizing side. You'd fill the water up to the water level and let it go. And each of these would have a different solution. This is dropping in soap, this is dropping in sanitizer, and away we go. Most commercial kitchens will have an extra heating water heater to be able to provide water that's going to be able to sanitize and clean sinks properly, not a domestic type water heater. But what I found, and what I wanted to show that's interesting in all commercial kitchens is we don't absolutely let the drain system marry in and create what we would call a tight system. In a commercial kitchen, I'm going to shut this off to eliminate the noise, there's actually a gap that happens between the sink, drain, and its ultimate discharge. Now that gap is there for a couple reasons. One is to help control and make sure that we don't have any cross-contamination. That prevents anything coming up. But two, that's actually screened. And that'll allow any of the large particles to be caught before they go into the system and clog up. So you're gonna find in all commercial kitchens, restaurants, bars, any institution like that, none of the sinks should marry in. So don't be afraid to look at those, especially if you're looking under bar sinks, hand washing stations, etc. They should all be plumbed exactly like this sink. So take a look at that during your next commercial inspection. Moving past the dishwashing station, you're in a commercial kitchen, and well, if it's a kitchen, you cook. And so there are various cooking items that would be present. Again, I am not going to go so far as to exercise the burners or do anything, but I think it's good to take pictures of it. I do it as an inventory. All of these are designed, they're on wheels. And there's quick connects behind these for the gas and the electric. These are all designed to be pulled out, and periodically the floor be able to be steam cleaned. And so taking a look at these, looking at the ovens, looking at flat top, looking at the burners, looking at the ovens. I'll just take general pictures so my clients know exactly what they're purchasing. I mean, we might have a client that's coming from out of town that's never seen the inside. We might have a client knowing what's here for inventory because maybe I want to buy them. Maybe these are leased and the current person in the building is leasing these and they want to know, do they want to continue or what? So this is what I look at. I will inventory and take photos of all of this, and then that's pretty much all I'll do on a commercial kitchen beyond what I would do through doing a cooking area inspection per the CompSop 6.5.13. In the kitchen, we talked about the tremendous amount of airflow being exhausted or drawn out of the building when the hood exhaust is operating over the cooking appliances. Well, if we have all that exhaust going out, we have to have fresh air coming in. That's called makeup air. This is what this is. Specifically, because we are in a cold weather climate, it's a reheated makeup air appliance. That air is coming down through the vent we saw in the ceiling of the kitchen and being drawn in through the screen, brought across the air handler, goes across the heater, and then goes down into the kitchen. Again, we want to inspect this by making sure it's well flashed, doesn't have anything going into the air intake, but you also have the opportunity to open this up and take a look at the reheater. When we look at the reheater, it's just a simple inline heater, and it's just designed that when we're running the makeup air, it doesn't put stream cold air into the kitchen. It's just heating it up a little bit. And so all I'm gonna do in here is look for any unusual rust, any debris, or any damage that might be present. So it's very important as part of your inspection to note the makeup air, but also to note if it's a reheating makeup air or whether it's a static makeup air. In more temperate areas, then they might just have a static makeup air. But double check those as part of your inspection. Inventory it, take some pictures of it. If there's a label plate, take a picture of the label plate and then provide that in your report to your clients. After reviewing the interior elements of the exhaust system, it's important to go on the roof and inspect those components as well. This particular exhaust system does have two fans that work in tandem. The exhaust is pretty large, but we're only going to concentrate on this one right now for sake of this video. When looking at these exhausts, it's important to kind of make a little mental checklist for yourself. One, what is the visible condition? Is it rusty? Is there damage? Two, look at the electrical components. Are they tight? Are they sound? Or are they damaged and rusty? Three, look for any grease that might be present. And so if you've looked at those three things, I think that's a pretty good chance that you're going to have the rest of the system be functional. Then lastly, you want to listen to it operate, make sure it's not vibrating, make sure there's not a tremendous amount of noise. When looking at these exhaust systems, typically these are hinged. This will open up. Open up allows you to look down through the system. It's important to look down to make sure the entire pipe is free of buildup or debris. In that particular case, I want to do that. I'm going to open up the hinge and take a look inside. By taking it inside, I got the opportunity to see how clean it is. In this particular case, it is very, very clean. And so I'm quite satisfied with it. I'll bring this back down. Some of these do have screw fasteners, some don't. If you got to take a bunch of screws out, I would imagine you're not going to want to take those apart. In closing out the CommSop cooking area inspection, that would pretty much leave us with the rest of the kitchen. It's interesting because think of this cooking area and this kitchen to have every other system possible. We've got plumbing in the sinks, we've got electric outlets and lighting. We have HVAC in here dealing with the heating and the cooling. We'll have life safety with fire extinguishers, both the kitchen type fire extinguisher and the regular type fire extinguisher that might be present in another spot of the kitchen. We'll have doors and windows and water heaters and all of those other systems that'll be present. So make sure you don't lose focus of that while you're doing your inspection and filling out your report or performing your property inspection based on the CommSop. So follow it, follow all of the various systems that are present, and do a great job.